Hi everyone and welcome back to the FEI's channel. My name is Lauren Allport. I'm an animal chiropractor and equine sports therapist. As part of the Health for Horses campaign, an initiative set up between the FEI and Boehringer Ingelheim, today we're going to be talking about post-exercise care and cooling and some at-home massage tips you can try for your horses at home. So before we talk about the specific things we can do for our horses after we finished exercising, first we should understand why post-exercise care and the cool down are so important. Regardless of the sporting discipline, any horse who has been physically active can benefit from an effective cool down. Often our horses are required to perform multiple times or across multiple days. So obviously what happens to the body on one day can directly affect performance on another day. When muscles are required to work harder than they're used to or in a different way, it's believed to cause microscopic damage to the muscle fibers. This results in muscle soreness and stiffness. This process is often referred to as the delayed onset of muscle soreness, also known as DOMS for short. It's a common misconception that the delayed onset of muscle soreness is caused by a buildup of lactic acid, but in actual fact, lactic acid is not involved in this process. When you exercise, the pH in your muscles goes down, meaning they become more acidic. This process is appropriately called muscle acidosis. This drop in pH may be part of what causes that famous burn we feel while we're exercising, and this is likely the same for our horses. For many years, the belief that lactic acid causes muscle fatigue during intense exercise has been prominent, but recent studies have shown that in fact it is quite the opposite. The production of lactate actually delays, not causes, muscle acidosis. If our muscles didn't produce lactate, acidosis and muscle fatigue would occur much more quickly and performance would be severely impaired. Why is this important to us? Studies have shown that the delayed onset of muscle soreness may cause significant changes in muscle function and may actually increase the risk of sporting injuries. So with future performance and injury prevention in mind, let's move on and talk about cooling down our horses after riding or exercise. A cool down can take anywhere from 5 to 15 or 20 minutes, and in some cases even more. This will depend on the horse's general physical condition and fitness level. Obviously, a horse who is less fit may take longer to recover after exercise compared to a horse who is already fit and conditioned. The horse's fitness level will determine how long it takes to recover from exercise. Another factor that will affect the length of your cool down is how hard your horse worked that particular day. A horse who did 15 or 20 minutes light dressage work will need a shorter cool down in comparison to a horse who perhaps jumped a course of show jumps or went galloping. The weather also plays a factor depending on the temperature and humidity. The main objective of our cool down is to restore heart rate and other vital signs to their normal range after exercise. The vital signs we are concerned with here are heart rate, respiration rate and body temperature. And we want to gradually return those to the levels they were before exercise. This is achieved by allowing blood circulation to continue to pull heat out of the horse's interior, to dissipate it through the skin as sweat or as heat blown out by the respiratory tract. Depending on the weather and climate where you live, it may be necessary to either hose the horse or sponge the horse after exercise to help remove sweat and extra heat from the body. It may also be necessary, if the climate is colder, to put on a cooler blanket to help to avoid the horse from getting a chill. Depending on how hard your horse worked on a particular day, your cool down may vary from day to day. For example, after hard work it might be advisable to include periods of trotting into your cool down to allow the horse's heart rate and breathing rate to slowly return to normal. If you finished walking off your horse but you feel his breathing rate is still not normal yet, it may be advisable to walk in hand or perhaps put the horse on a walker machine. The limbs of our equine athletes are subjected to various types of stresses and strains during exercise. Cold therapies are known and widely used for relieving pain and discomfort, as well as for reducing certain pathological conditions, particularly those involving acute or chronic inflammation. Cold therapy can promote a faster recovery after trauma, it can support intense training in healthy athletes, and prevent the symptoms of overtraining. Low temperatures can also promote recovery by reducing inflammation. This is due to the body's vascular or circulatory response. The analgesic or pain-relieving effects of cold therapy are believed to come from the slowed nerve conduction, which inhibits the transmission of pain signals to the brain. Studies by Dr. David Marlin and Solange Mikail have shown unanimously that the combination of ice and water is the most effective way to cool the equine limb, with our ice boots coming in second place and cold hosing in third place. For this reason, we will talk about these three modalities as they have been proven to be the most effective for cooling the limbs of our horses after exercise. It is recommended that you should use your chosen cooling method for anything up to 20 minutes on the limbs. Each cold therapy session needs to last no more than 30 minutes. Now let's discuss the techniques you can use to help to cool your horse's legs after intense exercise. Because the combination of ice and water has been proven to be the most effective by scientific study, we will discuss this method first. The most convenient way to use ice and water on your horse's legs is to use rubber boots like these. These can be easily filled with ice and water. You can also utilize the ice and water method using a bucket, but it's very important that this bucket is made of shatterproof material. So ideally a bucket made from shatterproof plastic or rubber. Using a combination of ice and water is without a doubt the most effective way we can cool our horse's legs. However, there is a greater training aspect to be considered, especially compared to using traditional ice boots. So first you should place your horse's limb in the bucket or boot of your choice. Depending on what suits your particular horse, it may be sensible to add the ice or the water first, but this will vary between different horses. Here I added a small amount of ice, followed by cold water, and then more ice. One disadvantage of this ice and water method is that compared to ice boots, it can be a little bit more time consuming and the horse is required to stand relatively still. So depending on the horse's level of training, that may be difficult. Ice boots are popular due to their convenience. One major disadvantage of the ice boot is that less surface area is covered and the hoof capsule is not included. Due to the typical design of many ice boots and the air between the boot and the leg, the ice pockets may not directly contact the required area. This should be considered especially if you have a horse with an acute trauma or a tendon lesion, for example. I'm sure most of us are familiar with how getting into cold or icy water can feel. It can be quite a shock to the system. So for this reason, you should be a little bit patient with the horses until they become familiar with the sensation of ice and water and until their training is at an appropriate level to allow them to stand comfortably in the ice and water for the desired 20-minute time period. It may be helpful when using the ice or water technique, especially if the horse is not familiar with the process. It may be an advantage to you to gently place your hand on the horse's leg, perhaps just above the knee. This can help them to keep the leg still. If you feel ice boots are more appropriate for you or your horse, we can improve their effectiveness by first of all hosing the horse's legs with water, then also hosing the ice boot with water, so that both the ice boot and the leg are wet. Because the thermal conductivity of water is 24 times that of air, this means heat will transfer from skin to water more readily than from skin to air. Icing may not be required on a daily basis, but it is advisable after strenuous or intense workouts. It is never advisable to ice your horse before exercise. Collagen is less elastic when it's cold and more elastic when it's heated. So even though ice may mask pain, it can cause undue stress and strain on the muscle fibers as the ice causes them to shorten and contract. And this is not advantageous to us during exercise. So for this reason, it is always advisable to ice after exercise and never before. Unlike human athletes, it is very difficult to submerge the entire horse in ice and water. For this reason, it is advised only to use ice on the neck, back and hindquarters of the horse when it's needed. For example, after trauma or at the site of an injection. In this section of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about massage and also give a demonstration of some massage techniques you can use yourself at home. Scientific research investigating the effects of massage after exercise has accelerated in the last decade. As mentioned earlier in the video, the delayed onset of muscle soreness or DOMS is one of the most common reasons for compromised sport performance. The clinical signs of DOMS include stiffness, swelling, increased painful restriction of movement, reduced force capacity, and the dysfunction of adjacent joints. The onset of DOMS is typically delayed. Symptoms can start anywhere from 8 to 12 hours after exercise. They can peak at 2 to 3 days and have usually dissipated 8 to 10 days after exercise. Animal studies have shown improvements in recovery from exercise after administering massage. It has been shown that massage initiated immediately after exercise and massage delayed by 48 hours were both effective in reducing swelling and decreasing the number of damaged muscle fibers compared to non-massage control groups. The effects of massage after exercise have been shown to cause small but statistically significant improvements in flexibility. So now let's talk about some massage techniques you can use for your horse at home after exercise. The most important thing we should talk about before I start to demonstrate the different massage strokes you can use. If you wish to massage your horse after exercise to help improve the delayed onset of muscle soreness, there are several things you must look out for. You must pay close attention to your horse's eyes, head position, ear position, breathing rate, tail twitching or swishing, and if they dip away from pressure. Licking and chewing is a sign of release and relaxation. Now that we've highlighted the importance of listening to your horse during the massage, now I can talk about the types of massage strokes we can use for our horses after exercise. When we are massaging, we want to make sure we have a slow and steady rhythm. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate two different types of massage. The first is using a stroking action, and the second is using a circular motion. It's best to do the massage by hand if it's possible. However, you can use a rubber curry comb or some type of vibration massage. However, using your hands is always an advantage because you can feel the muscles underneath your hands. The reason why using your hands is advantageous is because it will allow you to become familiar with what your horse's muscles normally feel like, and you can more easily recognize if there is an issue. You should always pay close attention to what the muscle feels like under your hand. Does it feel hard? Does it feel stiff? Or is it very soft and supple? Does the horse react when you touch a certain area? If the horse reacts when you touch a certain area, it can be a sign of discomfort. This is why it's always important to listen to your horse. Now I'm briefly going to explain about the different pressures we can use when we're massaging. We always want to begin with a light pressure. Applying light pressure during massage would be like trying to touch the yolk of an egg without breaking it. With a medium pressure, you may begin to see your hands or fingers starting to slowly sink into the muscle tissue. If the horse allows it, we can use a firmer pressure. You never ever press as hard as you can, and the horse will communicate if the pressure is too much. We don't want to use too firm a pressure, as this can cause bruising and other issues. As the main purpose of our massage after exercise is to help improve circulation, which can help with the onset of DOMS. Using a stroking technique and a circular motion, we can apply these two massage strokes anywhere on the horse's body. Throughout this demonstration video, I will demonstrate how we can massage not only the neck, back and hindquarters of the horse, but also the face and the legs. As of course, the delayed onset of muscle soreness can occur in any muscle, not just those located on the back. You do not have to follow the direction of the hair when you're massaging. You can massage against the direction of the hair. Again, we must always take all the information we can from the horse and really listen to what they're trying to tell us as we're massaging them. If you have any concerns or you think your horse is abnormally sensitive, it's always advisable to contact your veterinarian. We can also gently massage around the face and other areas where the tack has been touching, such as the girth area. If your horse is very sensitive when you touch the back, saddle or girth area, it may be advisable to contact your vet, as sensitivity in the girth region can be a sign of gastric ulcers, so it's always advisable to contact your vet if you're not sure. If we are gently massaging the face after we have removed the bridle, you should take note if your horse seems uncomfortable as you touch the jaw area. This might be a sign that it's time to call your vet or dentist. Always try to remember how the muscles feel before you start massaging, so then you can compare that to how they feel after you've massaged. Hopefully the horse will be less sensitive and more comfortable. Horses are much larger than us humans, so it may take more time to cover the whole surface of the horse than compared to massaging a human. When you're massaging, you can use a stroking action to help encourage drainage. You can alternate between using the tips of your fingers and the palms of your hand. And you can use both hands individually or at the same time. You want to aim to keep an even pressure throughout, and you should take care when passing over bony areas such as the point of the hip and the shoulder. We never want to massage directly on the spine, only the muscles adjacent to it. An ideal massage might last anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, up to a maximum of 1 hour. Over the past decade, significant research has focused on optimizing the recovery of athletes after exercise. The premise behind this is that suboptimal recovery often leads to fatigue. It can reduce the quality of future training sessions and/or competitive performances. This is why it's so important to consider your cool down a valuable part of your training routine. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget you can ask questions in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the FEI's channel and to like this video. Thanks for watching.